So if you've ever experienced a horse with an abscess, it's a very frustrating ordeal. Milo is the type of horse that likes to get an abscess usually once a year. Generally it's not in October, usually it's more like January or February after there's been a season of some wetness. However, we supposed to go film the last entries for the Western Dressage World Show today, but that's not going to happen now. Some of the classic signs for a horse with an abscess can vary from horse to horse, but with Milo, he starts stepping on his toe first, and you can usually tell with an abscess as well if there's some heat on that coronet band. But having had Milo for 13 years, I usually can tell the early signs pretty quick. So in today's video I wanted to show you one method for packing the hoof to try and draw out an abscess. If it gets really bad, or if you've been packing for more than a week or so, then you definitely need to have a vet or at least your farrier come take a look, because sometimes the farrier can use the hoof testers, see where the infection is, and dig it out. Because you also don't want an abscess to fester and get bigger or burst within the hoof, and then it can go elsewhere in the body. So it's really important to stay diligent with it. Abscesses are somewhat a minor inconvenience, however they can become really bad. So it's really important to stay on top of it. Today's method, there's a variety of ways that you can draw an abscess out. Traditionally, a very common one is using Epsom salts with hot water and soaking at least 2 or 3 times a day to try and encourage the infection to come out. Personally, don't prefer using this method any longer for one major reason: I don't have hot water in the barn. So what I'm going to use today is this Epsom salt paste. I'm actually quite lucky because Whiskey bought this for me last year. And it's a poultice that you can just spread onto a clean hoof. I like to pack the hoof with any sort of diaper. Obviously a smaller one is preferable. You can use a gauze or paper towel or whatever you have. I just feel like the diapers actually form to the hoof really well. And in the past I've used duct tape to adhere it onto the foot. I'm going to try just using vet wrap. Like I said, in the past I've done duct tape and then vet wrap on top of it and then duct tape again. But to save on some duct tape and all of the extra work, I'm going to try and just keep the boot on him. There is a variety of ways that you can go about doing this. I'm going to go ahead and try it this method first. So first and foremost, you want a nice clean hoof area. Ideally you could take a rag or something else to ensure that it's clean, but I'm just going to use a regular hoof pick, make sure all of the debris is out. In fact, if you've had to spend any time working on abscesses with a horse, sometimes you can see the weak spot in the sole already, and his here, I feel like the abscess very well might be right here where my hoof pick is pointing at. There's kind of a divot there, and I could test it by pushing the pick onto that spot and seeing if I got a reaction. You can also use your pick all along the hoof sole. So once it's relatively clean, I'm going to go ahead and let him have a rest in here to try and keep it from getting a whole lot more dirty. And now the next method, or the next part of the method, is going to be putting the Epsom salt poultice with Milo. Now this particular pan that I have his foot resting in, you'll see he's kind of bent it back a little bit. It's a rubber feed pan, and the rubber's pretty important because if he starts stepping around or shifting his weight, then it's a nice, soft, malleable thing for his foot to be resting in, and not one of those hard plastic ones. Of course, you don't have to use it or something like it, but I just like it because it allows him to get a rest while I'm busy messing around with other things, and keeps the area more clean. So the easiest way to apply this is directly onto the hoof. Sometimes I've put it on the gauze pad first, but I like applying it directly to the hoof because then I know that it's gotten where I want it to be. You can apply it directly where your suspect abscess site is. So this is what I really like about the diapers, is it helps form to the hoof quite well because the shape of it already. So I just stick it on. So and then I'm going to let him have another foot break. Now at this point you could use your duct tape and tape all around it, especially if you don't have one of these boots to be storing the foot in. The duct tape will help the diaper stay in place long term, and well, long term as in like maybe a day or half a day. But you go through a lot of duct tape doing it because you're constantly needing to cut it off and put it back on. And one of the reasons why I like the vet wrap is it keeps everything around the bulb of the hoof and below the fetlock and this whole area more protected. And then when he's walking and moving around it, it kind of flexes with him a little bit better. So I'm just going to start up at the top and then work my way down the hoof. I obviously want it to be snug, but not so tight that it's going to cut off any circulation, especially when you have to pack for a long time. The pressure right here around the bulb can eventually get pretty severe and they'll get pretty sore. So you want to be really careful when you're putting it on that you're not making it too overly snug around the heel bulb area. Okay. Easy does it. Okay, so now it's wrapped, and I still have enough to do one more packing either tonight or tomorrow morning. All right, buddy boy. I actually am going to put another wrap around the top because when he wears this boot, it's going to sit on the back side, and I don't want it rubbing him too bad. Good boy. Okay, this will be a lighter layer just to help keep it softer and more comfortable. There you go, buddy. Now, last thing I'm going to offer for my friend Milo here is some water inside of his stall because he isn't going to want to walk around a whole lot to go outside and drink. He's already drinking this one now. With the boot on and already his foot hurting from the abscess, he's not really going to want to move around. So he'll still have access to go out to his paddock, but I'm just going to make life a little easier on him by making sure he's always got some water inside the stall. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this video was informative and helpful to you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.